Scared for reals.
Hey, Chris O'Neill.
Adam Perry.
And we're here to talk about a brand new horror film. Just barely came out in theaters. Shudder presents In a Violent Nature.
Yes.
It's pretty violent, too. And it's Chris Nash. He's a filmmaker. He's done a lot of different stuff. He's been making short movies since like 2005.
Oh, wow.
But this is his first feature-length film. He's done a lot of shorts. He's done some music videos. He even was in The Void. I know you really liked that movie back in 2016.
The Void, awesome cult horror movie, weird horror movie, if for those of you who are interested. I'm really excited. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to see it because me thinking, it was going to be streaming on Shudder. It is currently not streaming on Shudder, so I haven't made it to the movie theater to see it. I'm hoping to see it this week, but this movie definitely has the entire horror community in a huge, huge buzz.
Yes.
Since its appearance at the Sundance Film Festival this year.
Yeah, back in January. This movie's been making its way. I've seen ads for it here and there.
Yeah.
So I was kind of curious myself. I've seen a lot of slasher movies. Adam's a bigger slasher fan, I would say.
Yeah, I like the genre. And again, the big buzz about this is how it was filmed. It doesn't reinvent the wheel of the slasher movies,
but it's presented differently.
But it's presented. So, Chris, tell us about it.
Well, basically,
spoilers coming.
Yeah. By the way, spoiler alert, because we're going to talk about this movie from beginning to end, and I'm going to hopefully not spoil it for Adam. So,
I don't care about spoilers. I'm still going to see the movie anyway. So let's get into it.
So, basically, it starts off with a close up of a fire tower. Okay, it's a fire tower. Someone was buried there. There's a locket that they pan out eventually. You hear like some young people talking about some sort of massacre that happened years ago. They don't really get into it too much. And oh, look at that locket. And the guys are like, just leave the locket there. The guy takes the locket.
Of course.
Probably because there's it kind of pans out. It's a very slow-moving movie. So, I mean, if you're thinking of like high-energy Friday the 13th kind of stuff, it doesn't have that high kinetic energy to it. It's kind of slow. It's like a slow burn kind of thing. So you got to slowly get into it because there's long takes. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, it just kind of focuses on the what's left of the fire tower, and it kind of just hangs there for about a couple of minutes. And then it pans out, you see the gold locket, and one of the guys picks up the gold locket. And then, a few seconds later, a creature comes from beneath the ground. Looks like the guy's been buried for many, many years.
Right.
And we don't know much about him at this point. He just gets up, starts walking. Obviously, you get the impression he's not too happy that his gold locket is gone. That's just the impression right there. Yeah. I mean, you don't have things spelled out for you, which I really like.
Yeah.
Chris lets it kind of just breathe, and he kind of lets you put two and two together. Probably not a good idea to take the gold locket, but so he goes to this house, this old, really rundown house that people. It just looks like it's disheveled. A guy had been kind of living there, but it's just like flies are in the house and everything like that. He sees a gold locket. Some guy's like, hey, what are you doing? And he turns around, and you don't see the guy's face right off the bat. You're following him.
Right.
That's one thing about this movie. You're constantly following. You're not seeing it from his point of view. You're following him the whole movie pretty much.
So instead of following the victims like we're used to, we are now following him. Serial. That's cool.
We're following the undead zombie-like character,
and that's been the big buzz about this movie. On all the horror chats and all the horror reviews is this new, unique take on how we're presenting the slasher.
Yeah. We're seeing it from his point of view, kind of, but we're behind him. We're not seeing it through his eyes. We were talking about Peeping Tom not too long ago. We're seeing that through his eyes. Yep. Mike Myers, we're seeing it from his point of view. Same with Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, Jason's mom.
Yeah, I mean, Freddy Krueger, we didn't do much. I don't think they really did the POV, but definitely in the first couple Friday the 13th, so they did the POV like Halloween did.
Yeah. The later Freddy Krueger movies were a little. I like the first one. That's about it. But anyway,
that's another show.
Yeah, that's another show. But the thing that's what made it so unique is the fact you're following the whole time. You're just following him. You just see the backside of him for a good chunk of the movie. So after he dispatches of, I don't know if redneck is the type of word you want to use with this guy, he shoots him. That was a big mistake. It didn't really take effect, and he just
made him more angry.
Well, he drags, he wounds the guy and drags him out, and just it doesn't start off being 100% gruesome, but the movie gets more gory as it goes along. And I do want to say the gore is presented kind of like, have you seen any Ari Aster's movies like Midsummer?
Yes.
That's pretty brutal violence.
Yeah.
It's shocking and it's grisly. Well, the movie gets more grisly as it goes along. Again, it's a slow burn. Guy literally drags that redneck dude out and dispatches of him out there. And then he keeps walking. Again, you're following him through the woods. And I'm telling you, this is like an awesome, like, firsthand of how amazing the Ontario wilderness looks. Because this was all filmed in the Ontario wilderness.
Yep.
It's beautiful, beautiful sights. And that's the thing. The movie doesn't look like, we were talking about The Strangers, how the Serbian forests were very creepy,
right,
horror-like vibe, and of course that happens at night. This all takes place on a beautiful day. Some of it's there's some cloudy skies, but it's like a partly cloudy kind of day. It's not completely gloomy looking.
Yeah,
it's just like a regular day out in the wilderness, which makes it even more unsettling.
Wow.
Because like you think these kind of things happen in the dark and at night, and traditionally, like Friday the 13th, Jason comes out mainly at night. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I mean, Friday the 13th, they definitely have their share of kills during the daytime. But yeah,
but it's more prominent.
Usually the climax and everything happens at night, yes.
But this all takes place like during like the day on a beautiful day, and
interesting. Very cool.
Because usually you get a creepy, like gloomy type of vibe with the forest. If you're in a horror movie, the forest, oh, this is going to be creepy, and it is.
Yeah.
But the atmosphere doesn't lead it to believe it's no music.
Yeah.
You just get like sounds of nature. So there's no music, which means it's a little unnerving.
So there's no score really.
No, there is no score.
Oh wow,
no score at all. It's kind of like the Coen brothers, what they did with No Country for Old Men. There's no score. There's like some sounds.
Yeah,
but in this movie, it's nature sounds basically. Huh. So getting back to the plot of the movie, we follow this demon, zombie, undead character through the wilderness, and he comes across some young teenagers. Again, this is at nighttime now by the time we see it, because it makes quick edits of us following him.
Yep.
So it's at night, and he's off watching them from a distance, and that creates tension itself because there's a couple times they come close to where he is, but they don't see him. Again, this is like a slow burn kind of thing. They call it slow cinema, Adam. I don't know if you've ever heard that expression.
Not that expression, no.
Well, slow cinema, in a nutshell, a lot of long takes.
Like continuous shots.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, Chris was saying how he was inspired by Gus Van Sant movies. Have you ever seen Elephant?
Yes.
Yeah, Elephant's that's a disturbing movie.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Jerry, but it's kind of like that. There's really not a lot of score. It's just and it's very slow moving.
Right.
But it's not boring. It's just they call it slow cinema. I could see more Terrence Malick. Now, Terrence Malick, his most famous film is The Thin Red Line, but Did you ever watch The New World with Christian Bale and Colin Farrell?
I have not seen that one. No.
Very long takes. Leonard Maltin said it best. Watching The New World is like watching paint dry, but at least it's beautiful paint.
Right.
And Terrence Malick has some of the most beautiful shots. And Terrence Malick himself was influenced by Stanley Kubrick. Only Stanley Kubrick didn't do really long takes. I think Terrence Malick was more inspired by the Russian filmmaker Andrei Tarkovsky, who is, I don't know if he's like the leader, the godfather of slow cinema, but Andrei Tarkovsky did Andrei Rublev. That was his second movie. It's like 3 hours long. It's a lot of long takes, and some of it's controversial. A horse gets killed. You see a horse die, and it's a lot of long takes of agony and stuff in his movies. And Solaris, famously, there's a lot of long takes before he goes into outer space because he's kind of mourning the fact that he may not be back on Earth again. So there's a lot of long takes. But anyways, getting back to In a Violent Nature, so that's basically, there's a lot of long takes, nothing like Andrei Tarkovsky long, but it does build tension, and it's a slow burn. And he comes across this young group, and you recognize some of the voices from the beginning. So he has his eyes set, and they get to talking about the history of this. I don't know if it was White Plains Massacre, something like that. It was some massacre that happened years and years ago. And it basically, the kid named Johnny, he was mentally delayed. They throw around like, oh, you can't say that. They're trying to be politically correct in the movie. The characters are. And he gets, he's very naive kid. He's teased into going up to this fire tower, and he gets bullied up there, and he somehow falls and dies. And the gold locket is what his mom gave him. So there's that connection. And again, you get a couple of brief flashbacks. Oh, you're a good boy, when he gets inside that old decrepit house with flies near the beginning of the movie. So, I mean, that's the only flashback, and it's like seconds. It's very quick.
Gotcha.
This is a movie very centered in the present. There's really no flashbacks or flash forwards. It's in the here and the now.
Okay.
And so they're just this one guy's telling the whole story about the massacre. All these people got killed. He went back and he just got revenge. And he went up to that fire tower.
Now, is this all being shown like
at a campfire with the kids? The
young
adults, they're either in their late teens or early 20s. They're just a group of friends. There's like 6 or 7 of them around the campfire.
Yeah. But what I'm asking is this being heard through? Are you still behind the killer as this is being told?
Well, it's kind of circling around the camera is kind of circling around the fireplace, getting the point. You get to see the young kids or young adults' faces. You get to see their faces. He's watching.
Okay,
he's watching in the background.
So basically, we've left basically our killer, and it's more like a traditional, the way a movie would be shot, just giving character perspective from. Yeah. Introducing your cast, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I just wanted, because that would have been interesting to hear the whole story as you're following the killer around. But I understand you still got to establish your characters in the movie.
You got to make it into a Friday the 13th. They're all around a campfire, young adults. Yeah. Some of them are probably going to have unprotected sex, which was a major thing in the Friday the 13th movies.
I mean, it was one of the do's and don'ts in the horror rules.
Yes,
but times have changed. So
I know. But basically, that's a nice homage to the traditional teen slasher movies. You get the campfire, the kids, drinking, doing, rebelling, not doing
being kids,
being either again they're in their late teens or early 20s. It doesn't indicate, but Basically, you get that whole story, that whole, of this guy. Mm-hmm. So this guy is Johnny.
Okay.
It obviously has to be Johnny. It doesn't come out and say it, but it's revealed later on. It's just like little layers that are peeled back little by little. It's like an onion. I hate to compare to a vegetable, but
right.
you peel back an onion, you get more layers.
Right.
And so that's one aspect of the movie. And he sees the guy has the gold locket on him, and he puts it in his pocket. So he's got his. It blurs out him, and you see him looking at that.
Yeah.
So you continue to. You get like a Halloween type of vibe of when they go inside. You see the camera going all over the place, kind of like Halloween at the beginning of Halloween. You know how it just pans all across the area. And the guy who told the story is going to go and apparently try to pick up some girls he met at a gas station miles and miles down the road. Well, he
doesn't make it.
No.
They never make it.
No.
They never make it.
No, they never make it, do they? Well, it's pretty grisly death. I mean, we've seen the Saw movies with the gore. It's basically torture porn, basically. Mm-hmm. This is pretty grisly, and the scenes don't make people chuckle or laugh. You know how, like, Friday the 13th, you kind of laugh at some of the death scenes.
Right, yeah.
Not in these movies. This movie in particular, it's more Ari Aster kind of. It's very grisly. It's very disturbing.
Yeah.
Basically, he sticks a knife through the guy and like pulls it back, and his head goes from his mouth up, just goes rolling off.
Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty grisly. Again, spoiler alert. If you're not into gory, violent films, this one is not for you. Okay, this film is not for you. But. So it's basically like a countdown of who's going to get killed next. And I could describe all the violent deaths. I'm not going to do that, but you basically follow him again after all of that. It's the next day. One of the girls goes swimming. And there's kind of the little lesbian thing going on between a couple of the girls. Going swimming, they're supposed to do yoga together. The other one goes and does yoga. Well, let me know when you're done doing your swimming thing. You know what's going to happen when the girl's swimming left alone. It's not going to make it.
No, they never do.
No, and
never do.
And the girl all by herself doing yoga. She gets a beautiful look at the landscape because she backs up to the edge of a cliff, and she gets stabbed and like literally rips her stomach out and.
Oh, wow.
He bends her backwards so her head goes through her stomach. And he pushes her down the hill, off the cliff.
Nice. So, all right. So, no, that's cheerful.
Yeah. As I said, this is
so.
This obviously is very gory, but the kills are very grisly, and you're just not enjoying it. You know what I mean?
It's uncomfortable to watch.
It's very uncomfortable. Very uneasy.
Well, I mean, not going to make you describe every kill. Is there one kill in particular that stuck out to you?
But those two stuck out more than any other ones. And I mean, there's another one that, again, I don't want to compare it to Game of Thrones, but remember, did you ever watch any of those episodes?
Yeah.
The shocking deaths. You know, he throws a huge rock-like thing on top of a guy, and his head literally explodes.
Yeah.
So kind of like when, it's just there's a lot of the death scenes are very prominent, and when you watch them, you do not forget them.
Right.
You do not forget them. Let's just put it that way.
So I guess the next thing I'm going to ask you, Chris, because I have to, did it look like they did this practically or CGI?
It's all practical.
It's all practical.
From what I gathered, I couldn't find any information to see if they used AI. They may have used it, some sort of CGI, because there's one scene. Okay, a park ranger. Finally, there's like two of them left, and they're like, "We got to find somebody." And they come across a park ranger, and when you follow him to where the ranger's office is, I mean, he had already gone to the Ranger's office once. After the first victim, he threw the head and the corpse inside the ranger station, and that's where he, like, in the you see him in a mask.
Yeah,
he grabs a mask and some of those weapons from the ranger's office.
Okay,
which is used to cutting down like trees and high grass in the wilderness. Roots and stuff like that. You don't usually use them to kill people with.
No,
but this movie you do. He's got like chains and all sorts of stuff. He gets all that from the ranger's office. So we go back there later on because he doesn't have his gold locket. The guy who he threw a rock and splattered his head everywhere, he doesn't have the gold locket anymore. He took it out of his pocket and did something with it.
Right.
So he's got to find it. So he's going to follow those other two teenagers who are desperately needing some sort of help at this point because they're the only two left.
Right.
They were like 6, and now they're down to 2.
Very cool. So, based on what you've read and what you saw, it mostly looks practical rather than...
Well, in the CGI part, the reason I say it might have been... there might be some CGI in the movie is the Ranger reveals more of the character. Like, don't you have the gold locket? You're not supposed to remove the gold locket because that will make him come out again. Yeah. So it's like this is like a folklore amongst the townsfolk of this town in Ontario. Okay. Where this guy, it was filmed near Sault Ste. Marie. Okay. I'm trying to, pronounce some of these French names, but Sault Ste. Marie or wherever this town is, you leave the gold locket there. If you don't, he's going to come out and look for it. Mm-hmm. So these people were not using common sense. Okay. So after the Ranger reveals more of that, they finally see him. He makes his presence known, and the Ranger shoots him, temporarily stopping him for time being. They want to tie him up, but the guy's like the only other guy left. He's like kind of like, oh, I'm afraid. Well, here, you hold the gun, and I will try to tie him up. And of course, he comes and
doesn't work.
Yeah, it never works. The Ranger's like telling the other two, the only 2 left, run, get out of here. Mm-hmm. So they do that, and of course, the Ranger doesn't make it.
They never do. The authority figures never make it.
No, well, and the way he disposes of him, he kind of does something to his spine and his back, so he kind of can't move anywhere. Gotcha. He gets dragged into a shed, and there's a thing that cuts like a saw, and he cuts off his arm, and like, oh, I can do that to his head. And that's where the CGI might come into play, because as the head is leaving his body, it's like they might have done something with the actor's face on the figure that they did that to.
Gotcha.
So that might be where the CGI or AI, I wish we wouldn't use AI, but that's a whole different discussion.
Well, I mean, it probably was, AI is still pretty new, so
it was some sort of computer effect where they put the actor's face over the figure.
Over a practical figure.
Yes. So. Because, that guy.
And stuff like that, I get on CGI a lot. I'm more accepting to, like, that sort of stuff. I mean, because obviously you can't.
It was brilliant use of CGI because it looked real.
Like, because I've always said the best use of CGI that I've ever seen was in The Dark Knight and Harvey Two-Face. Yeah. Removing his cheek. I mean, you can't do that practically.
No.
But the rest of his face was practical. So to me, that was a brilliant use of CGI.
And it was realistic, too.
Yeah. And so, and this is what they kind of did here, what it sounds like. Obviously, you can't put a guy's face, through a bandsaw.
No. Stunt guy, you're next.
Yeah. So all right. So I mean, a common sense use, limiting CGI. Ladies and gentlemen, always go practical. It looks better.
Yeah, it does. It always does. Even we talked about the Godzilla movies. The guy in the Godzilla suit was more fun to watch than the CGI stuff that they had. With the exception of Godzilla -1. That movie is...
Well, I'm not saying you can't do a good movie with CGI, but I mean... I'll
lately, Hollywood has not done CGI very well.
Yes, I'll agree with that.
I mean, even I saw Furiosa last weekend as well. And George Miller, when he did Fury Road, it was brilliant because 90% of the movie was practical effects. I think that's what made the movie so enjoyable.
Right.
It's so artificial in this one. He literally uses AI and CGI, and it just, people jumping, it looked really awkward. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It didn't look real. The whole movie was artificial. Obviously, this guy doesn't have a $200 million budget. He's a first time. This is his first full-length feature film, so he's not going to get 200 plus million. But you don't need it for a movie like this.
No,
you don't really need it for any movie, in my opinion. But
right.
Anyways, after he disposes of the Ranger, well, he's got to find those other two, and it comes down to the final girl. There is a final girl in this movie.
All right, there always is.
Yes,
there always is.
And again, that's paying homage to the traditional slasher film, but again, you're following. But then this is where I think the movie kind of loses focus a little bit, because you start seeing it after, she's very, you see her kind of standing back as the last person, her last friend, is getting literally beaten over and over and over again. He's just going nuts on this guy. He's bashing him and bashing him and bashing him. There's nothing left of him. And then she takes the opportunity. There's like a gasoline can, and there's an animal trap, and she puts the locket on the animal trap. So she's waiting for him to get done whatever he's doing to the friend. But at this point, she's like, I got to get the hell out of here.
Right.
So she leaves the gold locket on the bear or animal trap, whatever it is, and then there's a gasoline container next to it. I think she put it on the gasoline container, but she got the trap there.
Right.
So she's hoping he gets stuck, and then she just goes on a wild run. She doesn't know where the hell she is. She keeps hearing the sound of her friend getting bashed over and over again as she's running away. Obviously, this poor woman's traumatized. This is where the Texas Chainsaw Massacre homage comes in, because it's kind of like the ending of Texas Chainsaw Massacre in a way. There's a woman there that picks her up. She finally finds the light literally on the road, and finally a car picks her up, and the woman, by the way, is Vicky from Friday the 13th Part 2.
Very cool.
So there's a little nice homage.
So we're seeing tributes.
The little tributes, and of course there's no one. It seemed like Johnny was not following her at this point.
Yeah.
So, but she's just so traumatized. She thinks he's everywhere.
Yeah.
And she's at this point bleeding. She tripped, and a stick got stuck in the side of her leg. So she's bleeding, and she's trying to stay conscious. And the woman driving her is like, we got to stop that bleeding. So she pulls over, and of course there's woods nearby, and she's freaking out. Yep. And the last shot of the movie, Adam, you get the bear claw trap that hasn't been used, and the locket is missing from the container. That's how the movie ends.
Interesting.
Yes.
So Johnny is still out there.
Johnny is still out there, but you kind of think, okay, he's leaving her alone because he has his gold locket again. That's all he wanted was his gold locket. So you can't really say he's the villain, even though it's interesting perspective, because technically those kids are the villains because they stole from him.
Right.
And he's just trying to...
Or at least one of them did. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's going to get revenge on all of them because they're all part of it. And that was the whole thing. He was ridiculed when he was a kid by all these young adults, young teenagers. And so it's a very complex 94-minute slasher horror film.
Right.
And I got to say, I mean, other than the losing focus, taking the focus away from him, going on to her in the last 10, 15 minutes of the movie, it's a really well done movie. Because I think when you get away from him, the movie loses focus. No matter, I know you have to kind of pan around the fireplace, like you said, get to know the other characters of the movie. But when it focuses on her running away at the end, it's kind of takes away from what the story was supposed to be. But other than that minor thing, to me it's minor because it kind of gets drawn out. This woman has a monologue and that's taking her. She's talking about, her partner or her husband or her brother, one of her family members got into a bear scrap, and it's like, okay, it's a little lengthy dialogue that really doesn't, in my opinion, have anything to do with the movie at hand. But other than the ending, kind of, I love the last shot of the locket being gone.
Yeah,
and he was smart enough to not step in the bear trap.
Right.
All in all, it's a well done movie. I highly recommend it. It's one of the grisliest movies I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot of them, Adam. I've seen a lot of grisly movies, and this one it's very gory. So again, if you're not into gory movies, if you don't have a stomach for that, pass on this. But if you love slasher movies, see it in a theater. Don't wait for the streaming. I know streaming is cool, watching it from home, but watching a movie in a theater full of people, there were some people going, "Whoa!" You could hear the silent gasps.
Yeah,
it's a good feeling. You're sharing an
mean,
experience with a bunch of people.
Yeah, and that's the charm of
the theater,
being in a movie theater,
right? Bunch of strangers and just watching a movie and experiencing it and hearing again, following the killer. I can't think of a horror movie or any movie where you're just following 90% of the time.
It's an interesting take.
It is very unique, and I think that's what makes the movie so interesting. Is you get that point of view, and you get bits of the story of Johnny's past just from conversation.
Right.
You don't get it. You don't get a flashback, and there's like a tiny 2 or 3 second flashback when he steps into that old house, which you assume is the house he grew up in.
Right.
So, you were going to ask me something.
I was going to ask you something. I was just going to say it's just so especially in the slasher genre, so much has been done. It's so cool to find. Not reinventing the wheel, but finding a different take.
Right. Well, I kind of think he did reinvent it a little bit. Again, you can't make something that's already been done. You can only do something different with it, and that's what he did, and it's refreshingly different. Yeah. Shudder, they did Late Night with the Devil, and now
Yeah, I mean from what you're saying about this, 2 knockouts.
Yeah.
From Shudder to, with very, original, unique ideas, with stuff that we've, seen 100 times. I mean, it's refreshing. It's encouraging to see, especially in the horror genre, that, one can argue so much has been done and everything's been done, to see that there's still room for that much creativity.
Right.
And that, that's so refreshing. And
in the title itself, In a Violent Nature, is it talking about the nature of humans, or is it talking about nature wilderness? Because it's literally, and again, you get a great tour of the Ontario wilderness. Ontario is a pretty big province up in Canada, and I've only seen little bits of the city parts. I've never seen the wilderness. And beautiful.
It's a popular filming location.
It is.
They film everything up there.
Yeah.
Not just for tax cuts either. But that's a different road to go down. But either way, but cool. So we got Norman, we have Michael, Jason, Freddy, Chucky, Art, and now we got a Johnny. Yeah. Now we got a Johnny.
You want to count Mark from Peeping Tom. You can
and
do that
Mark,
too.
yeah. But
so it's interesting. Johnny is a tragic figure like Mark was in Peeping Tom. He's very tragic, and
Well, the same with Jason.
Jason drowned, and no one helped him.
Yeah.
No one helped Jason. That was there's that's a thing with these. And Mike Myers had a lot of mental problems, and Norman was abused by his mom and potentially his dad too. And that it's something to be said. They are, I guess you could call them all villains, but in this movie, In a Violent Nature, Johnny is kind of the hero.
Yeah, it sounds it.
maybe more of an anti-hero than regular hero, because you don't agree with everything that Johnny does, but you understand why he's doing it. I mean, he had a whatever you want to call it, mental delay, or his brain didn't mature, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. I'm not a health guy. Yeah. I'm not a mental doctor or anything, but his brain didn't develop the same way, and he was treated really badly, and he died because of it. And you mess around with his mom. It seemed like his mom, that connection there was great, and that was all he had left of his mom, and they took it from him. So, and again, he has mind of a child. There is that one scene where you pan and you see his face. I forgot to mention this. You see him like pick up someone throws the car keys, and there's like a little toy car on the keychain, and he's playing with it. You pan around; it's very scarred, like a monster face, like you would see, like a Frankenstein's monster kind of face. He's playing with the car, but then they start bad mouthing him, and then he crushes the car, and then we're following him again.
All right,
but
don't make fun of the monster.
Don't make fun of the monster. You see stuff. Like I know they put like pennies and dimes and stuff on military gravestones. Yeah. Don't take that stuff. It's not good. In this movie, well, you're not going to probably have military guys rise from the dead and kill you.
Right.
It's just disrespectful. You don't mess around with things that first of all don't belong to you.
Yeah.
They don't belong to you, and it was obvious that was a tribute to a burial site of some kind. Just walk away.
Yes.
Maybe take a picture of it so you can talk about it, but then walk away. Just walk away. But I In a Violent Nature is a highly recommended movie. It's probably not going to be in theaters too long, and not every theater will have it. We live close to Albany, so we're able to drive, 20, and Saratoga Springs has it too.
Yep.
So there's a few places locally, but we have to drive. And if it's within an hour drive, go see it. It's worth it, especially if you're a fan of these movies.
Yeah.
Again, if you're not into gore, don't watch this. But if you are, you gotta see In a Violent Nature. It's such a great movie, and hopefully they let it breathe in the theaters. They need to create excitement about going to the movie theaters again.
Right.
They really do, because the box office is showing that.
Yeah. No, I can't disagree with you there, but such an exciting time for us horror fans. 2024 is turning out to be a really fantastic year for the horror movie.
I've only liked 2 horror films so far this year.
But we have so much has come out, and
we got a lot more,
and a lot more coming. And you know what? It's I would say it's been more positive than it has been negative. I really like Abigail. You have your opinions on Abigail, but it was better than worse. You know what I'm saying?
If you're talking about Dracula movies, definitely a huge step up from The Voyage of the Last Demeter.
Again, it's another movie that was a fresher take on the typical vampire movie, which turns out, by the end, it turns out that it is a Dracula movie. But so 2024 is turning out, what I'm just getting at, is turning out to be a really great year for the horror genre.
Let's hope it kind of matches 2022, because 2022 was an amazing year for horror movies.
Yes. Yes, it was.
Last year was there was a couple of interesting concepts, but 2022 was great. Let's see if we can, even if we get it back to 1982, that'd be interesting.
Right.
Too, but I don't think that's going to happen.
But and again, a lot, like you said, a lot more to come.
Oh yeah.
We got half a year still.
Yeah, I know.
We've already had so much. So, with that, Chris, go check it out.
Yeah, In a Violent Nature, and hopefully Adam gets to see it.
I will be seeing it sometime this week. I can guarantee that.
And if you've seen it already, do you agree with me that it's awesome? It's a fresh take, even though the ending kind of falls apart a little bit. It's still overall a decent achievement. First time filmmaker. Definitely going to keep my eye on Chris. He definitely has a good vision. Let's see what he does with it. So he's only done short movies and this one movie. So hopefully we'll be able to see more from him. And again, Scared for Reels, comment below, subscribe. I always forget to say subscribe so you don't miss an episode because we post random episodes. So make sure you subscribe and comment. Give us feedback. That's an important thing. Feedback. We need it. We want to know what you think. You're listening. You're watching. So we want to make sure we're doing everything that you want us to do. And if you've got a request, comment below. Reach out to us on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on X. Scared for Reels is the handle.
We'll see you next time on Scared for Reels.